All right. We're getting started with another micro episode for monetizing your mental capital. EJ, tell us a little bit about who you are, who you with.
Yeah, my name is EJ Saunders. I'm CEO of Blaze Digital Solutions, and we are a bolt-on marketing team for the outdoor industry.
Beautiful. So, EJ, you mentioned that you actually spoke at this conference, right?
Yes, I did. Spoke about giveaways, how to properly do a giveaway. We do a lot of them. I've done thousands over the course of my career, and so I've really perfected that process.
So I imagine you've done a few of those very poorly before. I mean, when I do things thousands of times, the first three or four is just not great. So would you say it's been some learning over experience?
Absolutely. So it was actually funny. So I started with the story of the first time that I tried to run a giveaway and how terrible it was and how bad it sucked. The leads were just zero quality, crappy leads, no sales. We got in front of the wrong audience. We didn't have a proper offer. It just totally tanked. So we wasted a whole bunch of money with this client back in the day. So I told that story and I'm like, I know it works because people like the Diesel Brothers, right? And companies like Mountain Ops and others, they do them on a very regular basis, like a monthly basis, if not, it's bi-monthly. And so I knew there was some method to the madness. And so that's when I kind of set off to figure out the process to win. And so, I'm fairly confident that I've done that based on the results that we get.
Beautiful. So at monetizing your mental capital, that's the name of the podcast. The reason we go into this is because we're trying to teach e-commerce sellers and business owners alike how to look at mental capital a little bit differently. And so the question that I have for you is this. Can you remember the first time that you went out and monetized some mental capital? I have a daughter, she's 9. The first time she went out and monetized her mental capital was a lemonade stand on the corner, and she made $80 in a day. And I was like, oh, $80? My neighbor was like giving out 20s or something like that. It was pretty crazy. When was the first time you got out and monetized your mental capital?
Oh, geez. This is going to take me back a number of years. So the first time was actually in high school. Remember when Napster was around?
Oh, yeah, I remember Napster. That's the funniest scene in like the social media, the show that talks about like starting of Facebook. I think it's called The Social Network. When the freaking guy's talking about Napster, freaking hilarious. All right. So yeah, I remember Napster.
So I had Napster, right? And I downloaded a whole ton of stuff. And I noticed there was people that we just burned CDs, like when you actually had the CDs. I bought a whole stack of like 50 CDs. And then I started promoting it. Hey, if you want me to burn a CD, it's like $5 a CD. And you just tell me the list of songs that you want. I'll download them and I'll burn the CD for you and give it to you. That was like really the first time that I had that like it click that people actually buy something from me for one. And I can actually give something of value too at the same time. But yeah, that was the one time I really truly felt like a hustler back in that day.
I love it. And I think my favorite, so I was talking to another guy and he's like, I ran a syndicate where we cracked video games and like gave them to people. Like the stories are awesome. And so I love that you came up with a resource and you were like, wait a minute, people will pay for these to be packaged up. And all you had to do was just arrange the songs.
That's it. That was like, the service, or so to speak, that I offered. And so it's kind of funny, because like looking back at it, it was such a simple idea that monetized extremely quickly, but it filled a direct need that people had. And I burned so many CDs. I was like a machine, I was buying, I was starting to get like amping up my computer so it can burn faster and like all those like components. It was kind of crazy. I was like upgrading everything. And yeah, I got shut down pretty quick, but the whole thought process behind it, I was like, man, this is legit.
So, well, it wasn't legit. That's the hilarious part. But like, I love that, like, opened your mind to this whole new sphere of here's what I'm going to do. Here's what's going to be different about the world now that I've gotten into this. And now you're digging in and doing the outdoor retail thing. Very awesome. Very awesome. So, well, remember, it wasn't just you that got shut down, right? Like Napster got shut down.
Yeah, for sure. Like the ideas, that kind of came and really looking back at it, yes, I was selling like copyrighted music, so to speak, but really I was just giving people what they wanted. But with that, being shut down and stuff, that's kind of, over the evolution of like my career, that's the thing that really clicked. was that, hey, if I do this right, I can probably help a whole lot of people succeed, and so as I've gotten to now where have Blaze, and that's really like our mission. I'm like, well, crap, like, if I can help just 10 companies generate $10 million on an annual basis, I'm going to have such a dramatic impact across the world, right? So outdoor companies, they have, they get stuff made overseas, and then it comes here, and they got fulfillment teams, and we got sales teams, and then we got the actual end user that we're affecting as well. And so, but that one inkling back in the day sparked that little entrepreneurial fire, so to speak, that's kind of helped me grow and really learn the legitimate way to like make money, but the legitimate way to truly like help people for the better.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, like the world didn't really need to know what was going on with music at that point, right? Like that's why Napster existed, and that's why it lasted for so long, is because we didn't all know how this whole copyright thing should work. And so everybody, it was Wild West. I mean, which is the same as Amazon and everything else when it started out. Okay, so we're going to imagine we handed you a cell phone. And on this cell phone, it actually has the phone number and the time to be able to call your past self, this kid who's burning CDs. And you can call him and you can tell him something to do differently along this entrepreneurial path. What would you call and tell him?
That's a tough one. One thing I would tell him is to read Dan Kennedy's books straight up, and to learn from like the source of like how to truly do this to the fullest and to do it on a much deeper level and going down that route. That's, I think, the piece of advice. Because if I would have started that journey like a decade sooner, I don't know, I'd be in a completely different space.
I love it. Dan Kennedy, that is a fantastic word of wisdom and a good way to be like, I've only got 30 seconds to talk to you. I'm your future self. Read Dan Kennedy. Like, just get over and do that. I love that. Okay, so the final question I like to ask people is, in the last year, any tips, tricks, hacks, or books that you've come across that have changed the way you've done business or up-leveled your productivity, other things like that? Tips, tricks, hacks, or books that you've come across that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so I'm actually a fairly avid reader, and actually just wrote a book. So my book is awesome. It's like a freaking playbook, step by step, on how to like, get customers and grow a business. So it's pretty cool. But Ryan Dice's Scalable book is kind of a little bit of a game changer for me, because when you get your business to a certain level, it's all about the systems and the processes. You can't scale without them, right? You're going to hit the ceiling every single time if you don't have a process, and you'll probably fail at some point. And so getting that down, besides Scalable, like the book Traction, also incredible on that route.
Which version of Traction? Gino Wickman? Yeah, great book.
Yeah, phenomenal book. Rocket Fuel, is another one in that series. I have my team reading those books as well, and we're coming together, and it's kind of a cool thing when we have a mini little kind of like book club, and we all read and we all come with like different ideas from our own perceptions and stuff. And so that's a trick to kind of build culture, but to really build things that are going to be more sustaining and fully built out. So your half-baked idea, and then you take, the input of your team that's on the ground doing the things, you can make something really great.
I love that. The two other books that I'd recommend around Traction that I've been kind of consuming them alongside is 4DX. Have you come across that one yet? 4DX is an awesome one. And it kind of complements a little bit with Traction, like goes into some specifics and things that I feel like it dovetails well. And then the other one that I'm just in the middle of right now that's blowing my mind is The 6 Working Geniuses by Patrick Lencioni. And like all of them kind of coming together. My brain's like swirling like crazy as it all comes together.
Yeah, I actually never heard of those. So I'll have to put those on my list. That's for sure. But it's kind of crazy how like even just one little thing in those books can totally change the whole perception you have on life, in the world. That's why I like reading.
I love it. I was talking to another guy earlier, and he was like, yeah, I read about a book a week. And I was like, I am not there yet, but someday I'm going to, it's just amazing how much more you can learn and go there. EJ, thank you for sharing some of your knowledge and doing exactly the same thing that those authors do. And you as an author sharing some of your knowledge here with us today.
I appreciate it, man. It was good being here.
Over and out this episode of Monetize Your Mental Capital.